So yes, as Phoebe said, I'm from Attitude is Everything. So those of you who don't know what we do, I'll very quickly explain that for like the last 21 years, Attitude is Everything has worked with venues, the music industry and the live events industry to make it accessible as possible to audiences, accessible to deaf, disabled and neurodivergent people. 3 years ago, via the National Lottery funding, we were able to start a project called Beyond the Music, which is something that I lead on with my colleague, Paul Hawkins, who I'm sure some of you will have met over the years. I wanted to come here today to talk to you a bit about the project, a bit about the findings that we've kind of gathered in order to deliver the project and to drive the project forward and to kind of base what we do on with the project on, and also to talk to you a bit about the work we do with organisations and the work we do with the actual people who are in the project. I will talk through everything that's on my screen. So for those who have any accessibility needs, just let me know if there's anything that I haven't explained properly. And there's 2 short videos that have also got some audio description in them. And then any links that I might have throughout the session, I will try and put in the chat, but if I will also compose an email for Phoebe to send out afterwards as well. I have got too many tabs open or screens open to just see who's in the chat, so I'm going to ask Phoebe if anyone wants to ask a question or interrupt me during the session, then you're more than welcome to. I have hopefully, well, there is time at the end, I'm sure, because this isn't super long for us to chat and ask questions as well. But if there's anything you wanted to immediately ask, then I'll try and stop. I'll try and talk. I won't try and talk too fast either, which I'm quite guilty of. So yes, I think that's everything. I'm going to start with some statistics that kind of led us to design and work on the project, and that is, so in April 2021, the UK Music found that 1 in 5 disabled people in the music industry face discrimination at work. This was a UK Music Diversity Task Force survey, and again I will put the link in the chat, but yeah, I mean, it's quite a statistic, and that's quite some barriers that we're going to need to take down. And it was something that was kind of really hard hitting when we were putting together the project. 79% of our respondents believe that barriers related to access has impacted on their career. So this is a statistic that really shows that there's work to be done on actually making the careers of deaf and disabled and neurodivergent people actual careers, rather than work with just a load of barriers in them, and to take down those barriers. So this statistic comes from our survey that we did at the outset in March 2021, and this is a survey of people who worked in the music industry and who are deaf, disabled and neurodivergent. 79 of those people, 79% of the respondents believed that barriers related to their impairments had impacted on their career, and 51% had withdrawn from a job application due to accessibility related reasons. So again, we knew that there was work to be done around making applications accessible, about how the way organisations promote and advertise their jobs, as well as the actual recruitment process itself. So 67% did not always make employers or potential employers aware of their impairments. I'll talk about this maybe a little bit later, but again, it was something that really struck us, that there's an industry out there with neurodivergent, deaf and disabled people in it who weren't disclosing, and that would mean that we'd have to do work around that, and that is something that we're trying to change, and hopefully by the support of the project we're making it a more comfortable and open space for people to be able to disclose. So yeah, sorry, I've got this round the wrong way. That's funny of me, isn't it? Not surprising. 51% of people have withdrawn from a job application. So It's quite shocking, really. Lots of organisations say to us, oh, we really want to get our jobs in front of more deaf and disabled people. Well, if they're not accessible, then you're not going to. So we work with organisations to help them and support them in their application process. 90% felt that the lack of visibility of disabled people in the music industry was creating underrepresentation in the industry. This was an interesting stat for us, and something that really drove our Future Leaders program, which I'll talk to you about as well once we get into what the project does. And it's the same with, I think, a lot of protected characteristics. If you don't see like-minded or like people like you in the industry, you're not going to think the industry is for you. And the lack of visibility of disabled people in the music industry is something that we want to change. And we don't just want it to be tokenism. We don't want it to just be entry-level roles that people are being offered. We want it to have people in senior management positions and leaders, future leaders, as we call them, showing other deaf and disabled people that the industry is for them. And we think that work is incredibly important. This is talking about the stat that we talked about earlier. It's kind of the flip side of that. 69% of disabled employees who do not disclose their impairments believe they're putting their own health and safety at risk as a result. I mean, this is quite an alarming statistic. And when it comes down to it, when we talk about having a safe space and feeling comfortable enough to disclose, there's a whole new level here, isn't there, of when it's actually putting someone's health and safety at risk. And I think we'll all agree that any employer, it shouldn't be something that they even have to consider. They want all of their staff to feel safe and happy. So with that said, working in the live events or music industry should be for everyone. I'm going to talk to you a bit about how we've gone around delivering the Beyond the Music project. First of all, we have the Beyond the Music network. I kind of talk to people about how the project is, I've split the project into two halves, and we do our industry facing work and we do our professionals facing work, and the home for our professionals is our Beyond the Music network. And we're currently building that network, but it's already at 200 people. So we've just got over 200 members, and that's a great number. And I would say maybe 50 of those people are actively kind of seeking work and work on a closer level with the project to attend training sessions and the other things we do, which I'll talk about in a minute. Also for the wider audience, for the wider network members, it's a safe space to come and talk and meet and just shared lived experience. So the Beyond the Music network is a place for deaf, disabled and neurodivergent people working or seeking to work in the industry to meet, network, share ideas and find support around navigating the industry. I've got one too many sets of notes, but I think they all point in the right direction. We offer our network members a number of things. As I said, we have regular network meetings where people can come and just share their experience or talk to other deaf and disabled people, which we find holds so much value. But we've also come up with some kind of structured experience opportunities. It's not always easy for deaf disabled people to enter directly into the workforce. There's some problems around kind of benefits and working hours. And so we wanted to make sure that it wasn't just about people offering more jobs to deaf and disabled people. So I kind of got together with a load of employers, and we came up with some what we call our experience opportunities. And they're structured opportunities for deaf disabled people to develop their skills through training, mentoring, shadowing, and skilled employment and volunteering opportunities. We also wanted to be conscious that we weren't just sending people off for jobs for them to make cups of tea for a couple of weeks and tick a box. So the project, myself mainly, work with the people that are being placed from the network, and I also work with the organisation who's employing the person or taking on the person as a placement to make sure that the person can get the best out of it, and it offers as much as possible to the person as well as the organisation. Now, our future leaders, this is the other kind of part of our work. We believe that the industry will only have truly changed when we see role models at the top of the industry who can show other disabled people that this isn't an industry for everyone. And I'll give you a little kind of breakdown of what our Future Leaders programme is. It's coming to an end. So it was a year ago now that we recruited 11 talented people who are entering the industry with lived experience of barriers of disability, who we believe have the attributes and the drive needed to be leaders of the industry for the future. We're supporting them with mentoring, placements, specialist training, and small amounts of funding around their development. We do believe that the industry will only change when we're able to see other disabled people in the industry. I'm going to show us a video now. And this is a little video about our network, really. And I thought, I've spoken about it, I've spoken about what we've done, but this is a really nice video that we put together at the beginning of last spring to kind of attract new network members, but also show everyone what we're doing. Oh, have I just pressed the wrong button?
Do you want to work in the music industry? Do you identify as being deaf, disabled, neurodivergent, or having a long-term physical or mental health?
What have I just done? I apologise, sorry.
Yes. Then keep watching.
At Attitude is Everything, we have created a network for people like us called Beyond the Music. We know the music industry wants to be more inclusive, and we have the network and the contacts to make that happen. The Beyond the Music network is a safe space to come and learn more about the music industry, even if you work in it already or you aspire to do so.
The Beyond the Music network now has over 150 members. Now that I'm part of a network like Beyond the Music, and I can see other professionals with lived experience of disability in roles that I just thought, that's not a role for me. Now I know that it is, I feel so much more empowered to pursue my own goals.
I heard very good things about Attitude is Everything. I felt supported by the group.
Being around people that understand you for who you are and also able to contribute to each other's growth and professionalism is priceless. We know that just because you're deaf, disabled, neurodivergent, or have a long-term physical or mental health condition doesn't mean that you're not inspired, passionate, creative, talented, and ready.
Being part of the network, it's given me a sense of what the pathway I want to go down looks like. Whatever career you want to do in the music industry, we want to help you to succeed.
I tweet about new music.
Really, the Beyond the Music network, for me, is a place where I can make sense of the industry and share solidarity of other people.
My passion to actually still be in this industry is to show others that, you know, look at me and see themselves in me, that you have a place and you are welcome.
If a disabled person could see someone like you succeed in the music industry, they will believe that they too can succeed. So by joining the network, you can drive change across the industry.
If you feel that Beyond the Music speaks to you, then join our network.
To learn more about the network and sign up, visit attitudeiseverything.org.uk/professionals.
There we are then. Reminds me that I had slightly better hair last summer, I think. So with that said, that was everything we do with our network, and maybe when we have more questions I can talk in more depth about that. I think I've covered everything around the network, but yeah, as I said, feel free to ask any questions around that afterwards. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about Beyond the Music and working with organisations. So, as I mentioned, we go into a number of organisations, or we hear from a number of organisations, either by kind of our social media and our comms strategy, and we offer them a number of things. We can offer them a number of things. Obviously, we've got our accessible employment guide. This is a guide that we published last year that's downloadable off our website. It was published 2 years ago, sorry, and is a really useful tool. And I am going to see if I can. I can't. I've got a link for the guide, so I'll post the link at the end, or I'll give it to Phoebe to send out.
Yeah, I was going to say I can pop it in, and I did that previous one as well. I've just popped it in the chat.
Oh, well done. Thank you. Brilliant. So we have that, and that's just a really useful guide. We've put it together in a way that it's quite accessible, and we find it's organisations say to us that it's a really great tool for them to have. Obviously, we can always put together bespoke support as well. We also offer training, accessible workplace training, and that covers accessible recruitment, accessible line management, and I think that's it. Yeah, and the accessible work placement, so making your workplace accessible. And again, that can be done. We can do that with a number of organisations together in the same room, or we can come into individual organisations and deliver that training for you. Placements, we do these in a number of ways. As I mentioned earlier, we have experience opportunities. We also have a monthly newsletter that we send out to our entire network, and we have a jobs bulletin board on that, and we welcome anyone to send in their jobs, where we can then post them and get them in front of a great deaf and disabled audience. But when it comes to placements, we're here to help kind of broker those placements, to work out kind of suitable frameworks for those placements, what they might look like, how long they might run for, and kind of make them bespoke with someone in mind if that's appropriate. Or we can create a placement and then put that out to our network, and people can apply that way. So yeah, that's what the work we do with organisations around placements. Now we offer mentorships as well. Now that can be within your organisation. If you're wanting to be involved in our mentor programme, we will support you to be a mentor and give you access to resource and support through that process. And obviously you'll also pair you up with someone who is looking to be mentored. And we find that holds great value. We have really positive feedback about mentoring, and I'm sure many of you as organisations will know the value that being a mentor or engaging in mentorship programs brings. And then what I'm doing today, so talks, I'm always happy to come into organisations and talk more about any of the things we kind of really cover, or a broad brushstroke approach of kind of talking about everything and then letting people ask questions at the end if that's what they need. So sharing jobs. We also look at whether or not if that's something that the organisation wants to look at, job sharing, and being a portal, as I mentioned, for our jobs bulletin board, and making sure also that your jobs are accessible from the outset. So making sure that your PDF or your job specification and your job description is screen reader friendly, and all of the things that you need to attract deaf and disabled people to apply for the job will support you and guide you through that process. So I'm now going to show you the second film. We did two, and this is obviously aimed at the organisations.
12 months ago, if someone had talked to us about hiring someone who is deaf, disabled or neurodivergent, I would have felt incredibly nervous. I think the fear is about saying the wrong thing.
1 in 6 of the UK population are considered disabled under the Equality Act. These are people who face and solve problems every day throughout their lives.
Nearly 80% of disabled people felt held back in their careers by avoidable barriers.
Beyond the Music wants to partner with your organisation to create opportunities for people who are deaf, disabled, neurodivergent, or have a long-term physical or mental health condition.
We want to support your organisation to become accessible, inclusive employers who are able to attract the best talent possible and support them to thrive in whatever role they're doing.
Often people from privileged backgrounds enter the industry, because for me that's a very blinkered view, and I think we need to widen our horizons. For me, that's really exciting.
We're here to help connect you with our network of people who can offer your business a new perspective and a fresh approach.
The Beyond the Music project has supported us in many ways. Number one being providing us with the accessible employment guide.
What the industry can do is start by signing up to Beyond the Music programme and have a look through the accessible employment guide and see how they can start to implement that within their organisations. Not only are you signing up and pledging to try and become a more inclusive company, but you're also sort of changing the face of what the industry does actually look like.
When I show up to the employer, that employer has already a knowledge of how I'm different, any challenges that I may face, and any reasonable adjustments that need to be made. It's really comforting to be able to go to work and not feel like you have to hide who you are.
We're on hand to support you with accessible job descriptions, salaries, and recruitment processes, as well as advice and guidance throughout a placement.
Specifically with autism, it creates a big barrier because you can't tell when I'm nervous because I'm laughing and I'm smiling, and you can't tell when I'm down because I have to pick myself up.
The opportunities I had to participate in the live music industry before joining the Beyond the Music network were quite sparse.
Beyond the Music not only helps people like myself, it also helps employers and businesses.
The industry has responded with great enthusiasm for the Beyond the Music campaign. It's personally instilled confidence in me to be able to offer greater career opportunities.
There's so much perspective that people who are neurodivergent can bring to any environment, whether it's corporate or creative. It just has this knock-on effect for so many people, and even people that don't identify as disabled.
Employers miss out on over 50% of disabled talent because of inaccessible job applications.
We're here to help you become a business leader for people who are deaf, disabled, or neurodivergent. Get in touch with the details below.
Play your part. Visit attitudeseverything.org.uk/professionals.
Phoebe,
Yeah.
I've had a question from Alice. What's the best email to send job opportunities to?
So that would be phoebe@attitudeseverything.org.uk. So do you want me to whack that in, or? There we are.
Yeah, I can pop it in otherwise if you want.
Oh, and Mary, both of those videos are on our website. So I can send you a link to our website. And although Phoebe's already done so, it's quite confusing with all these Phoebes, isn't it? There we are. There we are. So yeah, Lauren, the autistic girl in the video, mentioned about how one of the, her testament was she likes the fact that when she goes in to do a work placement or a job, that the employers have an idea of who's arriving, and that comes from the placements that we do, or when we're sending people off to have a go at some work experience, or intern, or any of the kind of opportunities that come through our door. We do act as that kind of conduit. I do act as a bridge to make sure that the employer has kind of understood any reasonable adjustments that might be needed, or understood the individual, because especially with things like neurodivergency, it's not always set in stone. It's not always like there's not a set formula to know kind of how best to work with that person. And something, obviously, I don't think it's as quite as easy as it being across the board, but I would encourage anyone, and as an employer myself, somebody who kind of, I still work as a producer, so I still have people come and work with me to deliver shows, and I, regardless of asking about any kind of disability they want to disclose, one of my best practices is asking how they work best. And it doesn't have to be that somebody is deaf or disabled for it to be a good idea for you to know how best they work. I think it's just quite a good working practice. With that said, obviously, with disabled people, it's really important that we make sure that reasonable adjustments are put in place, and we make sure that it's not about equality, it's about equity, and that we've gone that extra mile to make sure that they have an equal experience, as equal as anybody else that would be coming to work in an organisation. That's it from me as part of presentation is concerned. Do we want to have a chat? Does anyone want to ask any questions?
Feel free to just unmute if you would like, or put it in the chat, but if not, I guess Phoebe's explained everything.
Sorry, hi.
Hello.
Hi, Phoebe's.
Hi, Mandy.
Just a couple of things, please. Do you have a link to the report with the statistics?
Yes. Let me, so I've got let me see if I can do this without it taking too long, or you having to listen to me do it, because I think that's the worst thing, isn't it?
Or if it can be sent out.
Yeah, can I send it out? Why don't I send it out? Because I do have them. I think that'd be
great. Thanks. I mean, other Phoebe might be in touch with this as well after. So yeah, that'd be appreciated. Thank you.
Brilliant.
And just one more. You mentioned about the future leaders saying it's coming to an end. Is there going to be a similar programme, or?
So we're in the middle of applying for some funding, some more funding. Our 3-year project as a whole, Beyond the Music, comes to an end in March, but we have every intention to carry on going. I'm planning placements for the summer. I'm not taking any holiday. I've not got anything planned on. We're just we are captain positive over here. We've decided that we're going to get the funding and the project's going to go on. And part of our application and our bid has been to make sure that we continue with our future leaders. And we're also going to do a new piece of work around school leavers and young people as well. So but that will be something that we're starting for the first time in March. But as far as future leaders, they finish in March, and we're doing some work with the existing future leaders, and then we'll get another year's worth in, and then we'll also do stuff with the alumni kind of from the first future leaders. We don't want to just kind of drop them off and say, there we are, into the industry. We'll still run sessions for them. And we've also just launched our Discord as well. So we have a Discord that kind of hopefully will underpin the project as a whole. And there's lots of different areas there that you can go and look at and get resource on. But again, it's one of those things, Discord, isn't it? You've got to really use it for it to work well. So we're chugging along. We've just launched it. So yeah.
Hi, Phoebe's. Can I ask another question?
Of course, Alice. Hello, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. We have quite a lot of disabled employees that we work with, frequently on quite a freelance basis, and we work in partnership with the Able Orchestra as well. So we're very often working with short-term projects with young people and adults who require sort of support workers with them on an ad hoc basis. As sort of a fairly new person, I've been in post for about a year. This is the first time I've been really working with disabled artists, and it's been an absolute education for me as to how hard it is for people to get the support they need in work. But I wondered whether you had done any work around information for employers who are trying to get support workers in for staff. We've had We've had a very interesting time. We've cracked it with one person, getting some DWP support for their care worker. But as an employer approaching care agencies, we've had a load of shut doors, and it's been quite a hard process. I just wondered if you had advice around that.
So our experience of it is limited. We have signposted in the past. We've heavily signposted and tried to support people in that process. We simply just don't have enough resource to kind of get on board and be part of that kind of helping process. However, I know that part of our work plan for next year is kind of exploring more of that and more of the logistics of working with support workers. And the only thing I can say is, from our experience, from what I remember, is that it differed greatly depending on where you were.
Yeah, so it's huge.
I found it really easy with one person, and then we got there. It's exactly what you said, and then we cracked it. And then the other time it was they kept coming back. And when I say they kept coming back is because, as I said, all we can really do is signpost. So it's kind of like we can use our resources and kind of some of our contacts to have a look at who the best people are to talk to, or have a look. But actually my first response to anyone is, this is your area, you need to kind of go to the people in your area, because that's where it will be coming from. And because we're national, unfortunately, we don't have that resource to know the independent areas. But again, it would be great to work more on it. So maybe I could have a look at getting some more knowledge and understanding for myself for the following kind of year.
We'd love to be part of that.
I'll take note of that, and I'll speak to my colleague Paul about it as well, because I know that it's something we've talked about in the past.
Great, thank you.
So it would be great to hear if DWP's access to work workers are engaging with. So some of them are, and we support. We've got some resource on our website. We're developing it. We've just launched a brand new website across the entire organisation, and we have got a resource page that we're filling with resource. And our access to work comes up a lot, but we work with people who are working in the industry who access access to work, and we don't necessarily support them. We signpost and support them in the application, but not enough people know about it. And I think what I mentioned at the beginning, there's that in itself is a barrier. The bureaucracy that comes with that, which is no bad thing, but it is something that's there, is a barrier in itself. And so supporting organisations and supporting individuals to have a better understanding of access to work is something that we aim to do. I am more than happy for people to have got my email address and ask me questions when they think of them later on, or if further on down the line you might need some help or some advice around things, then please always feel free to email myself or my colleague Paul, and we'll do our best to get back to you. And the same with, if anyone as an employer or an employee wants us to come and talk more, or to a different audience that you might know of, then obviously we're always interested in doing that, because educating people and kind of getting out there to a wider audience is one of our main objectives. So do keep us in mind.
Thanks so much.
No worries.
Just going to pop a link in to Youth Music have just announced sort of some cost of living support bits and bobs. So there's a link to our sort of resilience sessions coming up, everyone, if you want to check out them. There's things on HR, self-awareness, and lots of like funding and financial foundations training. And also our next Empower Hour is in March, so I'll pop a link to that too. But otherwise, yeah, thank you so much for coming, everyone. And yeah, have a nice lunch break.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.